Welcome back. I'm Kevin Barrett from True North Professional Development, and this is video 2 of our series on the feature in Excel called AutoFill. Now, AutoFill has the capability of doing many things around copying and pasting in different ways, and also creating series within Excel. So I'm going to demonstrate a number of those in this video today. So copying numbers. Imagine that we put in there the number 1, right? If we use our AutoFill handle on that first entry there in cell B3, and I pull it down, you can see that it is set up to copy that number down through the cells. All right. We can also create a numeric series with numbers as well. So if I start with the number 1 here, and I'm going to use that same functionality that I used before. I'm just going to drag this autofill down here to the bottom. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize this little box that's down here that's called autofill options. Autofill options gives me different options that I can have the autofill do for me. So you'll notice that by default, it's set up here under copy cells. That's what happens when we're copying numbers like that. The next option here is fill series. Well, if I click on fill series, look what happens. It's actually going to fill in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? A series of numbers using that. All right. Let's see what happens when we use the control key with our autofill. So if I type in the number 1, just as I did before, and I hover over my autofill and I press the control key, you'll notice that it gets a little tiny plus above the plus for the autofill. And when we drag that on down, that's going to create that same series that we just used the autofill options for. So the control key in the case of numbers does the opposite of what the normal autofill would do, which is to copy numbers, and it creates a series of numbers for you. We can also create patterns to do that. And I'm going to actually do a couple of these for you. So here, if I type in the number 1 and I hit enter and then put in the number 2, now if I select my autofill, or actually select those 2 cells and then use my autofill, you can see that it will pick up that pattern that was created in the first 2 cells. Let me delete that and show you a different pattern that it can do here. So I'm going to type in 30, and then below it, I'm going to type in 60. So we want a pattern that adds 30 each time. So if I select those 2 cells, and then I use my autofill and drag it on down, well, guess what? It's going to fill in down for me, and it's going to add 30 each time I drag it down another cell. All right, let's see what happens when we put labels in there. So if we use labels, so for example, if I put my name into the cell there, if I click my autofill and drag it on down, it's going to copy. All right, so when we use labels that are not part of a custom list, it will automatically copy those. But what about a list series, right? So we have those series that we talked about before, those custom lists that are created within Excel, the months of the year or the days of the week or the abbreviations of those. And so if I typed in January in here, right? And normally if I use my autofill and drag it on down, of course, what it's going to do is it's going to give me the next name in the list, the next month name in the list, right? All right, but what if I wanted to copy the list entries instead of using the autofill list, right? That custom list. What if I wanted 7 Januaries in there? So if I type in January, and I use my autofill in combination with the control key, just like we used it before, it's going to get that little plus above the plus. And when I click and drag down, it is going to copy those. So control always does the opposite of what the autofill handle normally would do. With numbers, it's going to create the series. With the custom lists like this, it's actually going to allow you to copy with it. So many different ways that you can use that autofill handle to either copy or use a series.